Hi, 大家好，我是Kaixi. Today I have a special guest with me, Prozzie.
Hi.
Prozzie is a fellow Canadian YouTuber in Taiwan.
I make YouTube videos about Taiwan and anything about the island because I think it deserves a bit of promoting. And I'm also an early childhood educator and have been for too long.
Did you know that I used to watch your videos when you were in China?
Really?
Yeah, like...
And you still want to film with me?
I'm kind of nervous because I was like a real fan.
Oh wow, I like how it's a was, and it's like not met you in real life.
Okay. Today I wanted to talk about Taiwan's plan to become bilingual by 2030, and I thought you would be a good guest to talk about this.
Sure, it makes sense. It's my job.
Yeah. Well, since like we're both from Canada, which is bilingual, right? English and French.
Do you speak French?
No. Do you speak French?
No.
Oh no.
Are you from BC?
Yeah, BC.
So you have a good excuse because I don't think very many people in BC speak French, at least compared to where I'm from in Ottawa, which is supposed to be a really bilingual city.
Okay.
Because it's so close to Quebec and it's the capital. I just was too lazy to study when I was younger, even though my family speaks French.
Yeah.
You speak Chinese? You went the other way.
Yeah. Do you speak any Chinese?
I can speak a little bit, an embarrassingly small amount, but I get by with my day.
They're gonna be bilingual, it's fine.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we were talking about off camera, is the prominence of English here. Like, I was thinking about this video today. I was at Starbucks getting a coffee for my coworker, but I realized I'd forgotten how to say like a frappuccino, and I was kind of standing in front of the cashier like hesitating to go up, so I was racking my brain, and like in almost perfect English the guy was just like, how can I help you?
Yeah, Starbucks especially.
They're really good about English, yeah.
Have you heard of this plan?
I've heard bits and pieces, but I'm not completely familiar with what the idea is.
So basically, based on what I've heard about it, the main goal is to help the younger generation of Taiwanese develop better English in general and like improve English education in Taiwan. So in the future, they can help promote Taiwan to the international community.
So is like the idea trying to make Taiwan a little bit more welcoming to foreigners who might be a little bit worried about not being able to speak Chinese?
I think that's part of it, and also just promoting Taiwan. For example, like Taiwan always talks about joining the WHO and things like that.
There's a whole host of things I think that they want to join, so maybe speaking English or having an English-speaking population might help with that.
Yeah, like help them advocate for that maybe. What do you think of Taiwan's English level right now?
Well, I think it's impressive. Well, we have to compare it to something. I've got friends that live in Korea, Japan. I lived in China before, and I have to say, Taiwan has a very impressive English rate. Going out in my day-to-day life, I try to speak Chinese, but oftentimes I find that I'll speak Chinese and then they'll just speak English back to me because their English is going to be way better than my Chinese will ever be.
I get that too.
Your Chinese is really good.
I think they see foreigners and they're like, my English is pretty good, or I want to practice English, so they speak English.
Well, there's two ways to go about it, because I also have seen, like if I walk into a restaurant, there'll be like a bunch of people working there and only one of them speaks a little bit of English, and I can just see their soul just get crushed when I walk in because all their foreigners are giggling and like, oh, speak English, go speak English, and she's like shaking because she's so nervous. So I think there's a lot of different reactions to having to speak English, but in general I would say it's really impressive.
When my family came to Taiwan, they found it really convenient too, because they don't speak any Chinese or read any Chinese, but they were fine. When they went to 7-Eleven, like the clerks would speak English to them, which is crazy. Also the products or like food and menus and stuff, a lot of them already have English on them.
Absolutely, which is a huge help because speaking Chinese is one thing, but reading Chinese is hard.
In North America, it's not expected of people to learn a second language, so I'm always pretty impressed by Taiwanese people's level of English already.
100%.
We're from Canada, so let's go over Canada first.
Sure.
Like in Canada, what does being a bilingual country mean?
Well, I think it's about introducing both languages at an early enough stage where you could be native in both languages. I think that's maybe speaking more to the effectiveness of it rather than what it means.
Yeah, that's more like on like a cultural level, I guess, in terms of like
legality,
being like officially bilingual.
Okay.
I think it would be more like having things being in both languages, like government documents and
street
like
signs
street
and
signs,
stuff,
products. Also, we learn French in school, right? Did you learn a lot of French in school?
Oh yeah. Like in elementary, we would have French every day, I think. There is a level of choice you have as you get older, but when you're in elementary school, we didn't have a choice.
I think you guys got more French education than we did. In elementary school, I honestly don't remember learning very much French. In high school, we had to do 1 year of French. And then after that, you could decide whether you want to keep going with French for 3 more years, or you could switch to a different language, but you had to do 4 years of that language.
What? We only had French. There was no
Really?
you couldn't do high school in Japanese or whatever.
We had
No.
Japanese.
What? BC, man, you guys are on a different planet.
Most people chose French because it meant you had a year less of classes.
And it looks really good on a Canadian resume.
That's true too. But because we just chose it out of convenience, we didn't really learn it.
Did you take it too seriously?
Well, I was a very
You seem like you were a really
dedicated
good
student.
Yeah. You strike me as someone who wouldn't talk to me in high school, I think.
Based on my notes for this video.
Yeah.
So I did study really hard, but just to pass the exams.
Right.
So like, right now I can't really speak any French.
Yeah.
You spend like 4 or 5 years learning French and then
It's a waste, isn't it? Maybe that's a question that Taiwan needs to ask themselves, because you can force kids to learn another language like we did in Canada, but it doesn't always mean it's going to be effective.
what's your guess on how many countries are bilingual, multilingual?
Officially?
Yeah, officially.
How many countries in the world? 190
90 something?
I'll say 30?
Close. 55.
Okay.
That's a good chunk of them, right? I found like a list of all the different countries.
Okay, I wonder how many of them are African because of the colonization.
It's true, a lot of them are African.
Okay. Taiwan's technically bilingual already if Taiwanese is a national official language. There's a large portion of the population that can speak Taiwanese.
Yeah, that's something people bring up as well. If you're gonna make English an official language, like, are there other languages that should be added into that as well?
Sure,
like
I think Taiwanese totally should be an official
like,
language.
Yeah, or like even like Hakka or indigenous languages. Anyways, for the other countries, what comes to mind? Like, are there other countries that you think of?
South Africa, because I have a few South African friends.
People often mention Singapore because it's Chinese or Mandarin and English.
And English
same
mix,
as
Or Hong
Taiwan
Kong is similar.
Yeah. Another one that I heard being brought up in comparison to Taiwan is India. I think it's because like both Singapore and India do really well like competitively. Like English really helps them with that. So I think like for Taiwan, that's part of the goal as well.
Yeah, because you'll drive up international businesses. English and Mandarin are the 2 most spoken languages in the world.
Yeah.
So if you've got someone who can speak both, they should make a bigger impact on the international community, especially as far as economics go.
So yeah, those are just a few of the countries in the world that are bilingual. Some people might wonder like what Taiwan can learn from those countries, but it's also kind of hard because like each country's history is different.
Yeah,
like India and Singapore, they were colonized, and then Taiwan,
it's artificially been brought in rather than naturally via colonization, which is a really interesting thing.
Even Canada, we had French speakers in the country to begin with.
The English just couldn't finish the job, and now I've got a French name. I don't know what happened there.
So I think Taiwan is like a really unique kind of situation.
But I think that's an interesting position to put Taiwan in. They're going to have to lead the world in self-educate themselves without the direct help officially from other nations, which I think is going to be quite the task.
The biggest part is about education. So they really want to improve Taiwan's English learning environment. And they've mentioned making it more like natural for students. In a lot of schools in Taiwan, they really focus on like memorization and just like passing the exams. So they want to fix that problem.
I think that's an amazing point and a great goal. And a lot of Taiwanese will complain about this. It's like we just study for the test and we take the test and then all of that information leaves my brain. Like there's no retention.
Yeah. They also want to do more bilingual and like all English programs as well.
Do you mean like extracurricular activities?
I think it's
like
in the public schools. Right now I feel like a lot of Taiwanese students go to cram schools to study English. And it seems kind of unfair because like not all students can afford that. And also I found that like because you're going and paying for that service, parents sometimes have like certain expectations for it.
Depends on the person to person. So at the school I work for, the parents are quite wealthy and so they tend to just be like, okay, I'm spending this much money, I'm sure it's going to work. But then I do have some parents who are very involved and do want to see those tests like you're saying. And so I think you're right, it is a lot of pressure on the students.
The other part to this plan that I noticed was English infrastructure, trying to internationalize Taiwan. So like in Canada, translating everything into both languages.
Yeah.
They're also doing it especially for tourists, like you mentioned. Like a lot of people come or are planning to come to Taiwan, but are kind of scared, like they won't be able to get by.
It's a scary prospect to have to come to a country and not speak the language.
I feel like for like tourism stuff, they already do pretty well.
Definitely, it's a large part of their economy, I think, is tourism,
Yeah, so I don't think that's a big issue, but I guess it makes sense as a goal. And then the other part was a bilingual friendly investment environment, which also makes sense.
I think it's a good thing for the Taiwanese. It's something they really need because of some obvious challenges that they're facing. They definitely need a strong economy. And part of that's foreign investors, and I think that's a great way to go.
Yeah, so I think that's it for this video. Do you have any final thoughts on this plan?
I think it's a good idea if they have the best interests at heart. And I think that if you want your kid to speak English, then I think you're gonna have to do that at home and at school. That's just some advice. But yeah, about the policy, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I'm rooting for Taiwan, because if there isn't another nation that is doing something like this, if they are the first one who's bringing in English themselves, if they're going to be the world leader there, I think it's a really good initiative.
To bring Taiwan to the international stage, I think that's always good. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how the plan goes. You guys make sure to go over to Prozzie's channel and check it out. He has lots of English-speaking videos.
Sorry, there's subtitles.
Good practice for English, okay? Yeah, that's it for today's video. 谢谢你们收看，记得按赞、留言还有订阅，下次见，拜。Special thanks to FUNDAY for sponsoring this video. If you're interested in learning English, make sure to check out the info in the description box below and use my link to register for FUNDAY to get 1 free English class plus 30 days access to a huge variety of English learning resources.